Well, ahoy and hello, crypto pirates. RG3, the captain, bringing you chatting with the captain from Austin. Yes, I'm not in the studio. I'm still out on tour, bringing it to you from my B&B, but still bringing it. Why? Because we have somebody very special on whose story aligns with the whole crypto experience, the Web3 experience, decentralized finance, and I couldn't pick a better candidate than somebody to bring awareness to what's going on here than this person here. And her name is Victoria Fuller. She is a playmate and starting her own project called the Rogue Bunnies. The Tang Gang has already been open arms to them and helping them to onboard and bring their NFTs to Pulsechain. So we're going to get to talk to her in just a second here. But real quick, first of all, I want to tell everybody, hey, check out it's Captain RG3 on the TikTok. We're trying to get the we lost our TikTok account, so we're putting new content up, opening up a new TikTok. So go in there, follow, and get involved there, and get those TikToks out of my typical rants, talking about the things that Richard has taught us and what we've learned about decentralized finance and what's important. So check it all out. Good to see all you in the chat room. Thanks for the support. Tweet it out, get the show out. This is going to be really good. And without any further ado, I am going to bring up Victoria Fuller. Now, she's California homegirl. She's from here, and not from here. I'm in Austin now, but she's from back home. So we have a lot in common. Maybe we'll get to talk a little bit about that. But hey, she worked for Hugh Hefner with the Playboy organization for many years and has still continued on and now she's moved on and she's bringing the Rogue Bunnies. So let's bring her up here now. My new friend, Victoria. Oh, let me unmute you. Hold on one second. There you go. How you doing, Victoria?
Hi. Hi.
Oh, good.
Good. I'm doing great.
Everybody can hear. Great. Good. So, oops, hold on one second. I've got things coming up. There we go. Wait, get the comments. There we go. Well, it's great to have you here finally. I know we had a couple of mishaps with my flights and stuff, and you're in the middle of moving, so we had some issues, but really good to see you. How's things going now?
Things are going really good. Just moving along. So much going on. So many things sprouting all the time, and my team has been super busy.
Cool. So what have you guys been super busy doing? Did you guys get onto a new blockchain somehow?
Well, we did get on Bitcoin with our ordinals. So we have that it's called a Founders Collection of 69 pieces, which we launched a week ago. And so we're spending time doing that. We have a derivative contest that's going on and being voted on in Twitter right now. And the winner gets to be minted by us. And then we auction off the NFT, and it's an official Rogue Bunnies derivative NFT. And the last one went for $1,300, and then 80% goes to the artist that we give to the artist. And then there's utility on that derivative, and then Series 3, which we've been working on, and with our trading cards with Dapper Labs, and and then we have other stuff going on with potentially with Pulsechain. Very excited to learn about this chain, and the Hexican community and the Tang Gang have been really fun to get to know and do some of these Twitter spaces with, and be able just to chat it up with some folks.
So let's talk about that real quick. So was it yesterday morning that you did your Twitter spaces with CZ?
Yesterday, I think, yes. I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of Twitter spaces and podcasts, and so I'm getting them fairly confused. But yes, I did.
Great. So how has your reception from the Hexican community been so far?
It's been great. I mean, the ladies is probably the more impressive part of any community, is when the ladies are really united and they kind of come as a group together to greet. And like when women get together and they're very welcoming, it's really super powerful, because it's like, well, I mean, how can you, like, all these women, like, hey, what's going on? Like, come join us. We want to include you. And I think traditionally women have been uninclusive and traditionally separating, you know, if you will. And so when they're welcoming, then it's a breath of fresh air. I can barely say it. And also just breaks the stereotype of women not helping women, because I think we're our own worst enemies, and we could be extra super mean to each other. And it's really not necessary, because I've found personally that the more I lift women up and the more I support women, even if it seems as though it's in like same line with something I'm doing or anything else, I don't think it ever matters. Whenever you help others and they rise, then it always ends up, you know, benefiting you in some way in the end that you hadn't even anticipated. So
Yeah.
So that's kind of a message for women.
Yeah, and I think women aside, I think that in any community where you have people of like minds that are promoting or becoming part of communities that not necessarily compete with one another, but are unknown to one another. So I think that there's some kind of fear that maybe sets in, and that's what starts the animosity. And women are just really good at tearing each other apart. I mean, I've watched it, witnessed it, and seen it when that animosity starts to be created, and then boom, it just kind of conflagrates into you guys getting really wild with each other. In my opinion, my observation over the years.
We could be creative with it.
Yeah. So let's go back. I want to know a little bit about, you know, what got you into was being a playmate something that you always aspired to? Was it something that fell in your lap? What happened there? How did that happen?
I had always aspired to be a playmate because I had attached it to drawing attention to my art career, because that was my my heart's desire as a youth growing up, was to be a famous artist. My parents told me that it was a hobby. It wasn't something that you did for a living. And so to kind of just let that go and just like think about other things that you could do with yourself. And so that made me think about nothing else but becoming an artist. And so I thought one of the ways of doing that would be like, if I was a Playboy bunny, I could probably draw a lot of attention to myself and the art. And so I just, for some reason, always thought that combination was what were my goals that I needed to achieve. And I did do those things. And I did get the licensing contract, which was never a planned thing, but I went to Hugh Hefner with my portfolio right as soon as I became a bunny and had access to him. Went with my little portfolio and said I wanted to work for the magazine in the art department. And that was like, no, that's not what you want. And I was like, yeah, I want. He's like, no, you need licensing. And I was like, not sure what that was. And so he gifted me a multi-million-dollar global licensing contract that allowed me all the intellectual properties of Playboy and their IPs and their trademarks in my artwork to distribute.
Okay, Victoria, hold on a second. So let me back up a little bit here. So there's like 1,000 bunnies ever in existence in the whole universe. Yeah. You aspire as a young lady to be a Playboy. Yeah. Bunny. You end up with Hef's freaking intellectual property and licensing somehow. Take me back first to what you did to prepare to be one of the 1,000 women on the planet that ever got to see something like this. What did you do that was so special to put you in front of the Playboy organization and in front of Hef to put him in this kind of trust with you? I want to know that.
Yeah. So that's a funny story because as soon as I could, because my stepfather said, you do whatever once you're 18, you do whatever you want. So like the second I was 18, I was like, okay, well now I got to figure out how to submit myself for the magazine, right? So it took me like a year to figure it out. And so like at 19, I figured out how to send in photos of myself. And so I did it through the mail or whatever. And I did get a letter back, and I had it sent to my mom's house because I was moving a lot at the time. And she said she got the letter, and it said, it was super negative. It was like, I don't think you realize the competition is fierce and you're just not attractive enough. So we're going to decline your submission, like whatever. And I remember thinking, oh man, like, what am I going to do now? Like, this was my whole plan. Like, now I'm going to have to pivot. And like, I started racking my brain thinking of other things that I could do. And I was really so bent on being this artist and being a bunny and like this whole thing. And like, anyways, and so then a girlfriend of mine, who I was rooming with she was a really gorgeous bikini model, did all kinds of calendars, and she got really sick and she couldn't go to this job. And she said, you're going to have to take my place and they'll trust me. And so the photographer called me and said, okay, I guess you're replacing. And he says, you must, I was, whatever. I was like 23 and probably, I was super hot. And so I go, and it was just for like a box cover. And the makeup artist was Alexis Vogel, and she was like the one who discovered Pam Anderson, and she was the main Playboy makeup artist. And so she did my makeup, and then there was a car and everything. I was posing, and she's like, have you ever thought of doing Playboy? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I'm not going down that road. And she goes, no, I could probably get you in. And so we took a bunch of Polaroids with all the makeup that she had done on me, which was phenomenal, by the way. And they called me the next morning and said, we'd love to talk to you. And so yeah, I drove down to the Playboy studios. I couldn't believe this was happening. So I was like, okay, I've already been denied, but whatever. I'm not going to talk about it. And so I showed up, and they remembered that I had been denied, but they were like, the pictures were pretty bad. I was like, yeah, they were. I got them done at the mall when you do those glamour shots at the mall, because I had no access to like a photographer, or
Yeah.
I had no clue. So like
So
in
literally like the
retrospect,
glamour shots.
yeah, and thinking about it now, looking back, thinking about it, like they must have gotten a little chuckle off of my submission of my glamour shot, Anyway. So
But
anyways, long story short. So then so I went into the studio and they said, no, we would really like to give you a formal test shoot. And so they did. They gave me a formal test shoot. The test shoot was like Hef got to see it. He said, yes, test her for centerfold like right away. So that was it. They actually drove me to the mansion. I was already living like a half hour away from the mansion. And they said, no, come stay at the mansion. That way we could pick you up every morning, get you to the studio, hair and makeup, and make sure you're there. They like girls would party and stuff and not show up, I guess, to the studio. So they're like, no, come stay at the mansion and we'll chauffeur you back and forth. And then you can hang out with, like with Hef and stuff. And when you're not shooting, and join them for dinners and stuff like that. If that wasn't intimidating, like, oh, here's to the guest house, and then there's like the big mansion over here, and they're like, oh yeah, you could just walk in and just say hi to everybody. It was like that kind of a thing. And I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm just walking into the house. No, there's no way. I couldn't even imagine. Someone could walk me over there and like introduce me, but it just wasn't even, there wasn't that, there was no like a house mother or whatever. But he was married to Kimberly still at the time, and so it was part of the paperwork that you didn't really approach Hef or talk to Hef. So like being at the mansion, you're not like, you could go in, but like I couldn't say hi to him or anything. It was weird, right? Like it's awkward. But yeah, so that was kind of my story, that I was denied and then I got in. And so mission accomplished. But I tell everybody that from very early on at 9 years old, I thought when I saw Hugh Hefner on the television and he's in roller skates with all these beautiful girls and looked like he's having the time of his life, I was thinking there was just something about him that I connected with. I can't explain it. But I also thought he was Howard Hughes, the richest man in the world. And it just clicked with me. It's like, that's it. This is the guy. This is my guy. I'm going to work for this guy. So whatever it's going to take. And like, then the whole bunny thing, I'm like, well, that's really fun. so the whole thing looked really, wearing a costume and being a buddy, you know, like the whole thing looked pretty fabulous. So that was what I connected it to. That was my thought process.
So basically, you just kept doing the things that kept you in the same wheelhouse as becoming a playmate, and it eventually landed right in your lap and gave you the opportunity to go and continue to develop or pursue your childhood dream. That is so
Yeah,
cool. And then
to bring the art in. Yep, I had to be an artist, and my parents said, my mother specifically was always very supportive of my art, but she kept saying that's like not really like what people do. You don't really do art for a living. You do you don't do that. You do other things for a living. And so I was always trying to sideline the art in some way, but I was always still creating stuff. I just didn't know how to apply it to something that would like transcend past just like my solo canvas.
So that's how you broke into the Playboy organization, get in front of Hef. Now, again, 1,000 of you women out there, period, and not all of them were gifted the intellectual property or the licensing rights of the play. How did Huff trust you? How did you guys create a relationship where he trusted you with that kind of information, or he even wanted to give it to you? What happened?
Yeah,
How did that
well,
relationship fire up and start?
number one, Hef was uber ultra beyond extra generous with the playmates for all reasons. I'm not special. I'm special in that I got this licensing contract that no one else thought of getting, or there was never other girls that were artists that were as interested in things as I was potentially. But he was always very generous with his brand if it could further the dial on any ambition that you or dream that you might have. So if it could be used as a launching pad in some way, he was always very generous to allow you, with confirmation, of course, to use that rabbit head or the word Playboy or the logo or something somehow, or have Playboy in some way support your ambition or dream or whatever it is. Everybody, he liked people that were creative forces, and so he often surrounded himself with the girls included that had some sort of creative spark. So and ambition. Yeah.
Do you think that Hefner, as he grew the organization, trusted the women in the organization more than, like, say, business partners and things like that? Did he want to create that? Was that something that was like his mantra, or
did he want to create businesses with who?
with the girls, with the playmates themselves?
Oh, with the girls? No, I don't think he ever wanted to create businesses with the girls. He wanted to give them the tools so they could create their own businesses, that they could go on and do their own things. He didn't want to be attached or connected in any way or have any kind of responsibility. He wanted to give you the tools to go, here you go, and now you're off and you're spreading your wings or whatever. He wasn't trying to get like, oh, I want to be on it, I'm going to get 20%, and like, oh, I'll be a silent partner, and like, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't really his like thing. He certainly helped a lot of people financially, as well as just leveraging his contacts and his voice, saying, hey, Victoria's doing this thing, why don't you work with her? Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of just like, it's just like that. He had a lot of power just over the phone. And that was as valuable as any kind of a check that could have been written. And he was generous with both.
So he basically wanted them to have the full strength and credit of the name of the organization that they associated themselves with, and lent that to them to go and do their own thing.
Yeah, certainly. Like, you know, Victoria Fuller of Playboy or Playmate. And he would always try and find ways, like I said, to support. In my situation, he was able to grant a licensing contract that allowed me all the trademarks, and corporate Playboy actually wasn't really in favor of me getting the contract. It was kind of like, whoa, let's think of it. And he's like, no, we're going to do the contract. And it was like an override, you know. It was like, well, that's what Hef wants her to have this contract, and so she's going to have the contract. And so that's kind of how it went. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, let's support Victoria and, you know, whatever. And certainly once Hef was gone, and it was corporate Playboy all the way, and new corporate Playboy. It wasn't even the same corporate Playboy that I was traditionally used to, you know, dealing with, which was very separate from Hugh M. Hefner stuff and corporate stuff. But then there was a new corporate, right? So that I didn't even have a relationship with. And so, yeah.
So what was that like? And how strong was your relationship? How close was your relationship? What was that like when you guys lost Hef for you?
Well, for me personally, he was my daughter's godfather. He threw my baby shower. He threw my daughter's 7th birthday. She got her first bike at the Playboy Mansion. Just things like that. I definitely was a part of the inner circle, and not in a romantic way, as in a complete friendship way. He was always amazing and generous to me. And I just happened to be the one girl that was pregnant that he, you know, and he was involved with it was on the Girls Next Door show, the baby shower. So it was an integral part of them launching that show and having creating content that was fun and kind of like, you know, serious. And he was always the support of all of my art shows. Anything that was in town in LA, he would show up to, as long as I gave him like a week's notice, like, oh, there's going to be this thing. He would make sure that he would show up with his blonderage and his security, and, you know, roll up in his limos and come through and take pictures. And, you know, then everybody at the show would always be excited because Hef showed up and did his walkthrough. And so he was just a really, like, when he was gone and not having the mansion, which was the whole other thing that we haven't even talked about, is being able to have that mansion as a, like, to talk to that rock and be like, and then even before I get there, they go, oh, hi, Victoria, because they see me on the camera and they just let me in. I don't even have to say, hi, I'm Victoria Fuller anymore. It's just like, hey, Victoria, you're here. And like having and being a part of that cool club of being part of that mansion life, which was really beautiful and amazing and enchanting and special and unique and really generous, that it was a person's home, and that he opened that 6 acres up to kind of do whatever you wanted. I mean, there was a time I was doing like my own photo shoots in like bra and underwear sets, and then like selling the photos, and like, you know, it's just like whatever, you know, nobody cared. It was just a safe space for everybody that was part of Hef's inner circle. And as long as you didn't abuse the space, you know, like just do whatever you want. And it was, you could run around, and like the grounds, I just always felt secure there because I knew that there was security all the way around. There wasn't going to be some random whatever, you know, shooting or, you know, random weird thing happening. That it was truly a safe space. And I was so lucky to have my daughter there. So because Hef took a liking to my baby child, and she had her own relationship with Hef, and up until she was about 8 years old, and then kind of things changed, and her dad was we weren't together anymore, but her dad was no longer allowed up at the mansion. And so he got really mad. He says, she's not allowed up there either anymore. And then Hef passed away like 5 years after that. So she missed a good little chunk of time that she was kind of intimidated out of going there, because her dad would be upset with her. Like, I'm going to be mad at you if you go, you know, kind of a thing. And, but yeah, when Hef was gone and that wasn't available anymore for me to meet my Playmate sisters, young and old and new, and and get a vibe on what everybody's doing and catch up, along with all the parties, of course. That
Yeah.
was a huge loss. Like that was a
Yeah.
huge, really
I
shocking.
missed
Yeah.
I missed my chance in the 90s. I lived in Hollywood. I worked at a radio station, K Rock, down there for many years.
Oh,
And you know, I'd always drive by the mansion. It was always beautiful. It was always looked like you said, it was safe. It just looked like everything was always
yeah.
kept perfect.
Fortress.
And I had been invited to a party and to actually go there with somebody who could bring me, and I was all excited about it.
Sure.
And I missed it because I had to work at another gig that night. And I was really bummed that I never got to get into the mansion. Cause you know, when you're out there, you drive by it all the time and you see the mansion and whatnot. And in the 90s, that's when it was like, it was popping. Like it was the place to be.
The 90s were definitely really good. And because that was coming, because the 80s were a time when all the girls were in all like the MTV music videos, right? And all the rock, they were dating all the rock stars, and they were so that was all that. And then 90s became like more Pam Anderson, and where pinup and photography became like, it became a thing. The more pinup thing became a thing. And then of course the internet and porn, and like, so things have just like have exploded and evolved in so many different directions now. It's just really crazy.
Yeah. So let's move on to that then. So Hefner passes, and
Yeah.
you have a new regime come in, and good or bad or indifferent, they had to do the things that they had to do. And of course they're not Hugh, so they're going to do things differently. So if you would just kind of explain to me or tell us how everything went down, how it happened, and what you had to do about the situation at hand.
So Hef passed away in 2017, September 27th, 2017, I want to say. And it's been 6 years. Yeah. And so before he passed away, I know that he sold the company, and he had even sold the Playboy mansion, and he was allowed to live there until he passed away. So he had actually sold the Playboy mansion a year before he passed away, a year and a half. And so so we knew everything was coming to a close, and but nothing could still prepare you for that sudden, like, where things are not. I can't tell you how many times I passed through those gates. They opened up like, oh, welcome. And then you pass through gates and you go up the windy driveway, and you get to the valet, and they take your car, or you park somewhere. I mean, I've done both many times. And you walk in, and everybody you know and care about's in those doors, and there's music playing that's like from the 20s, and just very beautiful environment, the clinking of dishes and glasses, and the low chatter of people having amazing conversations, and just like that feeling that you're like in a place of comfort and of familiarity. And so hopefully we'll have that again. That's shocking, and that leads me into, like, you know, that we do aspire to have another mansion 2.0. We aspire to have another physical hub, a mansion. But until then, we're doing these in real life events, which we could talk about. But
Yes.
we are introducing these IRL, as we call them, in real life events, called the Mansion 2.0 Experience. And we are taking a page from the Hugh Hefner party book and celebrating sports, art, music, and culture the way he knew how, and he taught us how. And starting, we're going to start with that. And so yeah.
Let's step back real quick to the IRL events, because to me, IRL events are so important to building community, and so important to creating viral moments, to creating that networking effect, what we call Metcalfe's law, to take this new marketing tool that we have, the internet, and really taking advantage of it. But in order to do so, you have to create a strong community behind it. And I think these in real life events do that. Can you explain to me why you guys do in real life events? And are you guys on the same page as that, or what does it mean to you?
I think, I had put no emphasis on IRL events when I wanted to start Rogue Bunnies in 2020, which I kind of grazed over. I didn't really talk about why I started that, but that I didn't feel that the metaverse was interesting enough to me to continue to put money or finances towards working out. And we started to do, we did a couple in real life events that were like collab events, and they were getting such good response. And then we had a few more, and then we started doing them around the time of these NFTLA and these different Web3 conferences. And it kind of was a captive audience of people who were interested in the NFTs and would be interested in all of it. We're just the networking that we created around our community and the NFT world and stuff. So that kind of sparked that how important that is, because those meetings and those projects where we collabed became so much more interesting and so much more successful after we had actually met people that we had been talking to online for like a couple months, and we see them in person and we're able to share a drink and like some atmosphere and be able to talk in person. And it moves it, like the friendship and the relationship and even the whatever we're working on just moves at light speed, because you get really on the same page with people. So with that said, these parties aren't just bringing the fun and bringing the amazing high top shelf entertainment, but they are also kind of this the new golf course, if you will. The golf course is where a lot of deals are made and relationships are made and people introductions are made. And so now with curating these beautiful IRL events, we are kind of taking all of that and rolling it into these beautiful Mansion 2.0 experiences, which is kind of what the Mansion did, rolled all that up into a space. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome to hear, because that's what we've been doing. So I'm on the Pulsechain tour. Every month we're in a different state. We're meeting up with, like-minded folks that are, looking to launch Web3 projects, looking for the better crypto, looking for an L1 that's going to support their projects. So that's what we're doing. We're out and we're doing those, like you said, we have a VIP event where everybody shows up, and afterwards we all get to hang out. And it's like that golf course, moment where you're building relationships, you're making deals, you're learning about new technologies and who's out there and the skill level. So very cool. I like that we're lined up with that. Maybe, just maybe, we can figure out a way to get the Hexicans and the Rogue Bunnies to do an IRL together and do some kind of collaborative event. Oh, hold on. You got muted somehow. Let me go back down here, and I think you did it. Oh, there we go. So there.
Oh, maybe I did it.
There you go.
I am solving some of those. I'm creating solutions for some of those things right now. I do think that there's quite the opportunity on Pulsechain, and specifically with the Hexican community and the Tangang. I think when people are united, because we have a really great community and they're super united, it makes a really huge difference. There's a lot of communities that we've been introduced to in the last, 9 months or so as things have been moving along, and we've been putting our name out there quite a bit. We've been introduced to a lot of projects, and hard to find the passion needed, to really make things happen. So I think it's all about the numbers in the community. And so you guys have great numbers and great community, and people have reached out quite a bit in different just the ladies and, different groups for different things, very diverse and welcoming and super aligned with each other. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, well, I think the story, what we're trying to do here in essence is, so this community isn't paid by the Pulsechain, by Richard Hart, the founder, or any of the developers that created the technology. This is truly like the first organic crypto community that has taken the tools of the internet and the tools in real life and the experts that have done these things and the people with the knowledge and the wisdom to do so, and taken the marketing of the blockchain and its story, to the people. Because just like the Rogue Bunny story of, having a home at one time and having resources and access to brilliant minds that were helping you guys move forward, and then losing that, you're looking for a place to live, survive, to become more of what you guys were.
Right.
And the Web3 space and blockchain technology and all this is where the next, the iteration of us all advancing is. So this community, being the organic community of the Pulsechain, has taken the marketing on themselves. And like you saw in the example of what we did for you is, hey, let's bring them in. Let's show them the technology, show them how to use it themselves. No fees, no charges, no, hidden agendas. Let's help them to help us make it better, and in turn helping each other. And that's kind of what's going on here. And you guys, in your story is, hey, we want to advance and move on. So, I mean, it just aligns so well.
I think it definitely aligns really well. And I have been working with the artists because I want to, you guys, I see how you guys thrive so well. And there's some of these mints and some of these free mints, which are really awesome. And to create some really good utility around those, I know that they appreciate that. And so that putting all that together for you guys and connecting that to in real life stuff, which is all unfolding right now. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited to work with a community that's so responsive. There's there are so many great communities out there, but there's no Ethereum community. There's a, you know what I mean? Like, there's some of the communities that are really hard to tap into and like get people, inspired and talking about the same, creating the conversation, with these communities. And so that's what I love about this whole, I like the whole Pulse thing, and it's very, very, very rogue. So
yes, it's very rogue and
very, very, very rogue.
Yeah. And the beauty about it is that the community actually gets to go and do the work, because the chain itself operates, it functions, it does what it's supposed to do. And it does it in a way that allows new onboarders, new people that are trying to make their way onto the blockchain. It makes it affordable. It makes it easy. It gives them community to tap into. It gives them that boost right off the bat of the marketing techniques and access to it, to the community right away, because of how we function and operate. Only because the technology has backed us up. No other chain's been able to do so. On the Ethereum chain, like you talked about, it's too hard to onboard because of the fees and the chain not being scalable. And even with the Polygon, they're down. They have this problem, that problem. You have to go to the foundation. They're not responsive. There's no community to help you, to show you what's going on. But here it's different. The technology's there, it exists, and the community is willing to help you and show you how to utilize it and grow and move on with this.
It's an amazing community, and yeah, I'm just really, really excited about it, and learning, about a new chain, and having the resource of being able to talk to someone, having, access to people that understand what's going on with the chain and different protocols and, all that stuff. There's access to people that have their finger on the pulse, if you will.
Exactly. Right on. Well, this has all been very cool. Now, what's the Rogue Bunnies plan in the future? What does your roadmap look like? What is it that you want to bring? I mean, we understand that you have artists and you're an artist and you're bringing the Rogue Bunnies, you know, to the Web3 space, and they've got obviously art that they're going to be bringing. What else is on the agenda? What's the white paper look like, or the roadmap look like for the future of the Rogue Bunnies?
Continuing to develop the Mansion 2.0 experience and monetizing that, as well as you know, putting the infrastructure together on the recruiting of the new bunnies for our Rogue Bunnies community, and setting up that entire I don't know what you call it, the infrastructure of, you know, how people submit, how we choose, how the holders, what role they play in accessing and choosing, you know, and voting on the new bunnies. And then the comic book, which you know, the opportunity, the Rogue Bunnies are the superheroes, and we have our own powers and how we save the world, and definitely creating this collectible, this next level collectible product of and with us in the actual characters in the background. So we'll be able to, you know, go to these there's so many shows, these Comic-Con shows, and these comic book is a huge following, and such a great community that combines art and fantasy together. And so yeah, so it's just a lot. It's on the fun Richter for sure, tying it into a comic book. But just me as an artist, you know, wanting to full circle everything back into art and storytelling together, and, you know, being part of a media source for entertainment.
So back real quick to, so Mansion 2.0, the plans are a Web3 virtual experience, i.e. A virtual experience.
No, in real life experience.
So we're talking a real mansion, like go and rebuy Hef's place.
Well, if not, well, yes, we aspire to have our own space, but like the last party we did, we rented the Verona Sky Villa. So we secured a venue that was as incredible as the Playboy Mansion. Certainly is where Elvis used to live, and where The Hangover was filmed, and Barry Manilow was staying next door. Got to meet him in the hallway, and things like that. So it was very, like, the space itself, the 15,000 square foot suite with suites inside of the suite was like next level. Like it was pretty incredible. So like we would do space. There's so many spaces that are as beautiful, sky villas in Vegas that are so as beautiful as that are impressive when you walk in as a venue.
Got it. So Mansion 2.0 is, yes, a physical in real life experience, but just reproducing the Playboy Mansion experience in other places around the world.
Yeah, it has to be pretty spectacular though for that.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really has to deliver to be
a
Mansion 2.0 experience. It has to really like be top notch.
Right on. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to finish up with? Some message that you'd like everybody in the community to hear? A request, anything that you're looking for?
No, Rogue Bunnies, you know, entertaining a new level and creating content in the Web3 space and beyond that cultivates community and builds engagement. And I think that's really super important. And yeah, we're having a really good time, and we look forward to meeting more of you guys in the future. And as we build our own product that we're going to drop and then be able to celebrate around, I'm really excited about.
Right on, right on. Well, Victoria, thanks for coming. I appreciate you. I know that we're going to have many more sites of you on all the rest of the stream, because every streamer is going to want to be streaming with you guys and talking about what you're doing and getting updates and whatnot. And of course, we'll like to have you back on too. If you don't mind hanging out in the green room for just a minute, there was a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. But
Absolutely.
really, again, appreciate you coming. And anything else, everybody, all of her links, all of the places that we talked about are all in the description below. So if you need anything or need access, they're all there. And we'll see if we can get Victoria on again soon.
RogueBunnies.com.
RogueBunnies.com, and that's all down in the description. All right, Victoria, thanks. Hang out just for a second. I'm going to just close up. All right, thanks. All right, guys. Rogue Bunnies coming to the Pulsechain. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you on Friday night for the effing hangout. Sorry about this week. I got stuck in the airport and had some trouble with some things, so wasn't able to get the effing hangout on. But we will.